live for you to discuss Buckeye football and obviously college football. Season's quickly approaching, man. Summer is winding down, and that excites us, but also makes us sad because obviously we love summer, um, but we also love college football with a passion. So yeah, man. How's the week been for you, brother?
It's been
What's
good,
been good?
dude. I got a new job.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, I'm gonna be a permanent building sub. I'm going back to good old Walled Lake.
Oh,
You know,
okay, back to the
I'm
stomping
really
grounds.
I'm really excited. I'm really happy about it. I need you know feel like I need a year out of the classroom. So
Sure,
I'm really excited about it. So
man, it'd be great. That's crazy. I just got a new job today too, so
wait,
it's
where'd you get
it's
the
a day of
job
new
at?
jobs. Putting my axe back to the grind and doing some landscaping again. So getting back in that field again. So it'd
Or
be interesting,
is
man.
it gonna be your own company?
No, putting that to bed, putting that to rest. Also do some leaf jobs and some things in fall cleanup and spring cleanup with that. But yeah, just working for another company. So yeah, it's exciting times for both of us, I guess. And that's good news, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. If anybody's wondering why we're back to YouTube, we're just testing a theory because our views have been. We're trying to figure out if YouTube punishes you for live streaming from a second party platform onto their
Right.
platform. So we're just trying to figure that out right now.
Yep, our
So
numbers absolutely plummeted and fell off a cliff with the live stream as soon as we started using StreamYard. So we're gonna test out that theory tonight, and we'll see how things go numbers wise. But we're happy to have you guys here along for the journey. Um, the biggest news of the day, obviously, was for Ohio State fans anyway, was Will Howard being named QB1 here midway through fall camp. Just give me your first impressions on Will Howard being named the starter at this time of the fall camp and in the season.
I think it's the right call. We
Sure.
have experience. He has experience on his side.
Yeah, that's a
He
huge.
has leadership skills, good decision making. Still working on the long ball,
Yep.
and that's where Devin Brown beats him. But it seems like Will Howard has the right skills to be able to lead this team. Now, I would hate to see our wide receiving core, as talented as it is. It's literally the
Mm,
reincarnation of Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Njigba, Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson. I mean, you got J.J. Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, and
yes, sir.
Emeka Buka. I mean, all future first rounders. So
Yeah.
let's see like what Will Howard has to offer. I would hate to see his long ball not get better because I feel like the especially receivers like J.J. Smith. I mean,
Hmm.
I have a feeling he's gonna moss a lot of cornerbacks this season, and he could
Yeah.
end up emerging as the number one overall option at wide receiver for Ohio State. But back to Will Howard.
Potentially. Yeah.
Um, from what I saw in the spring game until now, it is completely night and day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What I saw the spring game was he was not making good decisions. He did not look really fast. His
He,
release did look sub. It looked average.
he
And
underthrew a lot of balls in the spring game. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but from what I'm hearing from Ryan Day is again good decision making, good
Oh yeah.
leadership skills, able to get the
Good boy.
ball out quick. Um,
Yeah.
definitely has wheels. So we'll probably be getting back to that. Dual threat quarterback. So in
That is
practice,
exciting.
he did an end around 80 yards, and I heard his top speed is like what 22
That's
miles
what
per
they're
hour.
reporting. I give it 5 picks out of 5, but that'd be great if that was actual reality. I hope it's reality. I can't imagine he's the fastest quarterback on the roster with Noland in tow, but that's what we are hearing out of camp. So we'll,
I
we'll
mean,
see.
I don't know. I mean, it depends. It sounds like Will Howard has a really good work ethic. So
Oh yeah,
you
he
know,
dropped
I
a lot of weight.
so yeah, I
What?
gotta. and that's probably the other reason why he picked up. He got a lot faster. I mean, you drop a lot of weight. You know you
Yeah.
work really hard in the off season. I mean, who are we to say that he's not the fastest quarterback in the room?
Yeah.
But I think Day made the right decision. He seems like the most promising. But let's see what happens the first game, and definitely I think their first real test is, what is that, Oregon?
Well, I'd say the first real test for the offense is going to be versus the Hawkeyes defensively.
Okay.
That's the week before Oregon. Now, how much of a test that game will end up proving to be might not be a huge test, but yeah, Oregon is the first ultimate test to pass. But we do face the legendary Hawkeye defense the week prior to the Ducks in Eugene, so that'll be interesting. But speaking of that first week game, man, obviously now Will Howard was named QB1 today, and that's not really a big surprise to most fans. Some were rooting for Sayan or Brown, or there were factions in the fan base. But with that first game in particular, but also the first 3 weeks, Marshall and Western Michigan were more than likely, or maybe not, to see a decent amount of rotation at quarterback. Do you agree or disagree with that because of the level of opponent and what the scores could potentially be? I mean, Akron is one of the worst teams in college football entering the season, having won 5 games over the last 5 seasons.
Wait, so are you so what you're talking about is
I'm
seeing
saying
go on.
the score is going to get out of hand in all 3 first games for Ohio State. Are we going to see Day ride Howard to gain that experience in the Buckeye offense? Or are we going to see him actually open up to a secondary quarterback for the first time ever? That's kind of against Day's persona and what he's been in his 5 years here. But
Yeah.
the scores are going to be so lopsided. I'd be almost furious if he wasn't pulling the quarterback.
I hope that he's learned from what he did with CJ Stroud. He kept CJ Stroud in for way too long.
Yes.
It was quite obvious that the backups didn't get much work
Oh,
in, due to the
no
fact
kidding.
when CJ Stroud, McCord didn't improve much at all,
Right?
and Brown and Lincoln were just, they
Yeah,
they weren't ready at all.
sure.
So I think I hope that Day has really learned his lesson in terms of getting more rotation, even with the other starters as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you need your backups to get as much experience as possible. And if you have like a 30-point lead by halftime, and the game's out of reach, why not? I mean,
Sit the boys.
that's where Michigan
Yeah.
that's where Michigan is good at. I mean, their backups got the most playing minutes in all of college football. They pretty much played the entire second half.
Of most games. Yeah, no, it's true, and that has been a big detriment for the Ohio State quarterback development in the room. And that's a big argument. When you got 5 quarterbacks on a scholarship for Ohio State, we expect 2 to probably transfer out come December. But Day, like you mentioned, has kept his starters in because 4 of the 5 years he's been at Ohio State, his quarterbacks have been in the Heisman race in November. And that's the one key factor is that because they've been undefeated, but another key reason is because he kept him in the game and not gotten our backups experience, and that's really cost us. Injuries are part of the game in football, especially when you have a running quarterback like we're gonna have again this year. Backups need some playing time, bro. That's all I'm saying. So we'll see how things go. But um, I did want to speak a little bit on Will Howard just being named QB1 today. To me, when we got him and we signed him from the portal, what's up, man? It was pretty evident that he was always going to be QB1 this year. Even when we got Sand, even when we got Brown to stay and all these other guys to stay, I don't think there was ever really a mystery. I mean, we paid him a handsome fee to come here. Now, what do you think about this? This is kind of a distant memory at this point, but he wasn't technically our first choice. We were going after Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel as well, and we ended up with Will Howard, which I think is a nice consolation prize if you ask me. I am excited about him, but do you think Um, Buckeye Nation is going to be fully behind Will Howard as QB1 since he wasn't technically our first choice out of the portal.
It depends. How does he perform the
Yeah.
first game? Because there, if he does not perform well the first game, there, we all know the Ohio State Buckeye fans love to get their words in on
Oh,
the
yeah.
performance
Type, type,
of the
type, type, type.
quarterback. Yeah, they're a bunch of keyboard warriors. But I would say as long as they see an improvement from McCord
Oh, yeah, bro.
last season, I think that they'll be satisfied with
Yeah.
Will Howard.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, man. I mean, even today, I saw some foolish comments on the articles on 11 Warriors, citing, man, it would have been interesting to see Kyle's second year. You know that those comments are few and far between. Of course, most Buckeye fans are pretty sick of Kyle McCord.
Here,
Um, but
here's the
it
thing
will be
about
interesting
here's the thing about Kyle McCord. All right, he had 3 years
in the
to get
system.
in the system to get it right. Still showed up average. I mean, Michigan.
And
The thing about Michigan fans is that they deemed him Honda McCord. And then they want to switch the tune, saying, "Oh, you got rid of such a good
yeah,
quarterback. You should have gave him more time." Okay, if he was so good, why would you call him Honda McCord? You can't
yeah,
have it. That's hypocrisy.
yeah, they're speaking out both sides of their mouth with that one for sure. And the thing, the game that really frustrated me with McCord more so was that Wisconsin game, dude. Wisconsin had no business hanging with us, and McCord missed throw after throw after throw in that game at night in Madison, and it was infuriating. And it almost cost us the game. Now, now we get to see Will Howard with his legs, his ability to move in the pocket. That's one thing I've noticed as I watch his tape. He really feels the pocket well. Now he did have 10 interceptions last year, so he's gonna have to clean that up because that's not an acceptable number of interceptions to QB, especially in a conference that's not known for their defense like the Big 12 was. So that will be a thing to keep an eye on. How does he take care of the football? Now, what I've heard out of practice, his intermediate throws and his short throws, he's just consistent. He's Mr. Consistent in that area, and he's going to continue to light it up. Now, another a point I want to make, and you can give me a little pushback on this. I feel like over the last 3 years, with the 2 years of Stroud and McCord, the deep ball necessarily hasn't been a huge part of our offense. I feel like intermediate throws and designing route patterns have been what have gotten the receivers open because of elite wide receivers. I don't necessarily feel like we've taken a ton of deep shots over the last 3 years. With Fields, I remember them distinctly. Not so much with Stroud or McCord. So, and
I
especially in
don't
the Chip
know.
Kelly offense, he's not a deep shot kind of guy. He never has been.
I don't know. I'd have to disagree with you with Stroud. I mean, there have been some deep ball throws with him. It's clear in the NFL the dude can throw the deep ball.
Oh, no
Um,
kidding. I just don't
but
think it was a big part of Ohio State's offense, though.
but no, last year it really wasn't because McCord couldn't get the job done.
Sure, sure.
So we could see that more this. We could see that more this season. I mean,
Even
you
in the
never
Chip Kelly
know.
offense, you think? Because
Uh,
he's more known for his kind of trickery, and I mean it's a mystery. I'm not saying I know what's going on because I know Chip Kelly and Day are going to blend their offenses together, and let's be clear, they're very different offenses. So it's going to be fun to see how they mesh and mingle this year. But what are your thoughts on it? Like,
I know that Chip Kelly does all this trickery and he loves to run the ball. I mean, look at his time with
oh
Oregon.
yeah,
I mean, he had a two back system,
yep,
and he had a run first quarterback. The quarterback I remember the most is Dennis Dixon.
oh my gosh, yes,
He had I'm pretty sure he had more rushing yards than passing yards. So I mean, the thing is, like, our receivers are just way too talented
Oh
to
yeah.
not get a chance at the deep ball.
Okay. I mean, clearly they are. Clearly they are. So it's gonna be. What's up, Henry? It's gonna be interesting to see how these offenses mesh and how their concepts mesh because they definitely are two very different philosophies that are going to be forming together. And I feel like, based on what I'm reading, even on 11 Warriors, a lot of Ohio State fans are kind of in the dark about what it's going to look like this year. I admit I am. Like, like I'm excited for the read option to be back as part of the offense. That's super exciting to me because I think it's very effective and lethal, especially on third downs. Um, so I'm excited for that element to come back in. But then you look ahead to the battle in the 2025 season, looking ahead to next year. More than likely, Julian Saint is going to be the quarterback, and he's got athleticism, but he would never be considered a dual threat quarterback on any recruiting site. And so it will be fascinating to see what system they run with and how successful this system is this year with as much talent they have on offense. I can't wait to see it unfold because it's a mystery at this point.
Yeah, we'll again, they it has to be a pass. I get that Henderson and Judkins are extremely talented. They were rated they were both in the top 10 running backs in the nation
Oh
along
yeah,
with Katron Allen, Nick Singleton.
yes
But
sir. Molly
those
Gordon.
receivers are they're too talented to not be a pass first offense.
They're gonna eat. Don't get me wrong. They're gonna eat. I think Howard's
But
gonna distribute the ball very effectively. But
I
I
know,
think
but
there will be more of a balance towards the run this year. I think we'll probably, like you said, lean past just because that's Day's MO. But I think it'll be more like 55-45 this year. Pass 55, run 45. But I don't know. That's what the mystery is going to be because we got skill all over the offense. The quarterback and the offensive line are where the issues are at, and so it's going to be. Yeah, I've said it a bunch of times, but it's going to be fun to see. And honestly, we're not going to learn much the first 3 weeks. Akron, Marshall, and Western Michigan are not going to present any troubles for the offense whatsoever. And I think our first, what do we actually have offensively, is going to be versus the Iowa Hawkeye defense, who is stingy and sturdy and pick six university in the Hawkeyes, man. They're a formidable test. I remember even with Stroud a couple years ago, I think it was the 2022 season, the first half was infuriating versus Iowa in
yeah,
Columbus. And then we end up
you're right.
blowing them out 54-10.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, here's the thing about Iowa. They have a good defense, but eventually it tires out, and
oh,
that's when
yeah.
the elite teams separate themselves. So,
Floodgates open.
yep, the floodgates open.
It's true,
Their
man.
offense obviously could not put any drives together, and then their defense just tires out, and then it's
Yeah.
game over.
Speaking of Iowa, just momentarily, briefly here, I heard our old buddy Cade McNamara is absolutely horrific right now. He went 6 of 21 for 19 yards in their spring scrimmage,
It's
and he's
terrible.
not even guaranteed to be QB1 entering this season.
You know, I, here's the thing. I think that the running Michigan's running game really really covered his
His
shortcomings
yeah,
all the way up until the Georgia game where they had no choice but to pass,
we're
and then
exposed.
just he got exposed.
Yeah, he was not a great quarterback, man. And I know Michigan fans are thankful and grateful for him for what he did, breaking that Big Ten title drought of 17 years. But
But what
bro,
was it actually him who did it? I'm pretty sure that I'm
no,
pretty
but
sure that Michigan ran over Ohio State's
oh
defense.
no, I fully agree with you. But the quarterback always gets the glory, even if he wasn't responsible.
Mm,
No, I'm agreeing with you. But the quarterback in college football always gets the glory, no matter what. even if he's not deserving, which Cade clearly wasn't. So it's interesting, man. He's in his 6th year and he's fighting for his life in an anemic offense out in Iowa City. And golly, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a joke, dude. What a joke. But
But
anyway, getting back on task,
here's my prediction for Will Howard, though.
what you got?
There's still a little bit time to improve. I can imagine he'll definitely progress as the
Oh yeah.
season goes on, especially leading up to the tough competition.
Oh, for sure.
I think that he will end up winning Big Ten QB of the year.
I heard you say that above Dylan Gabriel.
Yep,
That is a
above
bold
Dylan,
pick.
above Dylan Gabriel.
Wow. I wish, man, you were really confident in his abilities then. Okay.
Yeah.
I would not go that route. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to win the silver football, the Big Ten MVP. That's just my prediction. That's my guess.
So
But at the same time, their schedule is insane. So he meets some nice defenses.
here's my thoughts on
Yeah,
here's my
yeah.
reasoning on my
Why? You-
prediction.
Yeah. Why do you think?
So look at the weapons that
Sure.
he has. He seems like like a way better version of Kyle McCord. And again, he'll progress as the season goes on. But again, look at the weapons he has. There's no way, and especially like a different offensive coordinator, there's no
Sure.
way he almost doesn't put up video game numbers.
Give me
Unless unless he's terrible, unless he
No, I don't think he's terrible. Give me a baseline for what do you think. Like he needs to hit this benchmark passing yards wise and rushing yards wise to be considered to have a successful season. What number would that be for you in this
I
offense?
in this offense, I think anything less than 35 touchdowns is unacceptable.
Yeah, total. Yep. Okay. Yep. I agree.
McCord hit like 30 to 32.
Yep. He sure did.
I would say anything under like 5,000, 4 to 5,000 passing yards.
Whoa! My goodness
I mean,
gracious.
look at how many yards Stroud got, Fields got in that in both years. And McCord, like I don't even think he hit like mid 3,000s. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he was at 3,200. He was second in the Big Ten last year.
So I mean, again, with the weapons they have, there's
That's
no
interesting.
reason.
That's
There's no
so
reason
interesting.
why you can't get 35 touchdowns. There's no reason why you can't get really like 4,000 passing yards.
I This is interesting because I definitely agree on the touchdown number with you. I think anything below 35 touchdowns total combined rushing and passing would be a disappointment. Yardage wise, I'm setting I'm setting passing. I'm saying 4,000 total yards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Okay,
4,000.
okay,
I'm gonna
okay,
cap
okay,
it
okay.
off at 4,000. Gonna cap it
Okay,
off at
okay, that makes
4,000.
sense.
And you know what?
I
I'm
think
not talking about a combination of rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns. 35
oh,
passing touchdowns. There's
I
no
think
reason.
I think we're going to have a lot more rushing touchdowns than what we're used to this year. Personally, with Judkins being able to be that bulldozer in the red zone, we're going to be finishing a lot more drives with rushes than passes. Um, that's interesting. No, I would say 35 touchdowns total because and I think Trevion and Quinshon are going to eat up a lot of those touchdowns this season.
Yeah.
But that
And you know what? I cannot wait. Look, Will Howard's going to show up. He already stated that he doesn't need to be this elite quarterback. He gets to
right,
be a game manager and do what's asked of him. But I feel like the future is looking really bright. You have Tavion St. Clair coming in.
my goodness, yes,
You have Aaron Nolan, Julian Sand. I think Devin Brown's going to transfer out. I think Lincoln
most
Keenholz
likely,
is going to transfer out.
most
I
likely.
think they're gonna. So it tells you a lot when you have a quarterback after Stroud who Ryan Day is yelling at constantly, and then after the season, McCord transfers to Syracuse, where he
Yeah.
goes on the sideline during their bowl game, and they're getting shut out 55-0. And then you also have them going to the transfer portal. Other than Justin Fields, so the
Yeah.
last time they went the transfer portal was when Tate Martell was in line to be the next starting quarterback at Ohio State. But
Dear
luckily, they
God.
got Justin Fields to
Thank God we
avoid
avoided that
that dumpster
experiment.
fire. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, they weren't so lucky. I mean, let's look back.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers was in the same class as Kyle McCord, but Quinn Ewers transferred out of the first year, and so they had no choice but to go with Kyle McCord. And then they
Yeah.
all of a sudden they got to go to the transfer portal. Why are they going to the transfer portal? Because Devin Brown and Lincoln Keenholz cannot be looked to be effective quarterbacks within that offense. So I think
For
the
sure.
future is definitely going to be bright, and it's gonna get back to being a pass heavy offense. And we won't have to worry about there being these tight quarterback battles, because I think Julian Sane, Aaron Noland, and incoming freshman Tavion St. Clair, I think they're all gonna end up being elite. So
And that'd be sick. Yep. The quarterback room is full right now. It's definitely getting empty out come December. And we'll see who we get with. But yeah, Quinn Ewers definitely pulled a fast one on us, and it really affected our ability to have a quarterback room in 2023. Think about the depth we had behind McCord last year. It was Brown, Keenholz, and Tristan Gebbia. Like McCord was average and subpar. Imagine if he had went down, how disastrous last season would have been for the Buckeyes. I don't
oh
want to
yeah.
think about
I,
that, bro.
I, I don't. I mean, but here's the thing, though. Travion Henderson really showed up when Kyle McCord just couldn't perform.
He's a tough runner, man. He does not break a lot of tackles, but he's not afraid of contact.
You know what? He's gonna make his money catching passes out of the backfield.
He's gonna have a nice career in the league. I agree. If he can stay healthy, that is. That's the key. Of
Yeah,
course, the best ability is availability, and so we'll see what we can do. But yeah, the offense has limitless expectations this year. That's cool. That's fun that we have kind of different perceptions of what the offense might be, and I'm not sure who's going to be right, to be honest. Like, I mean, you can't just throw away Brian Hartline and the elite recruiting we're getting at wide receiver and quarterback, and think we're going to go to a different style of offense. So on one hand, I do agree with you, but I think we're going to be a lot more balanced than we have been under Meyer. I remember I don't know why I remember this so distinctly, but he always said, "I want 250 passing and 250 rushing a game." That was his goal every single game, no matter what the opponent was. We want balance offensively. And under Day, it's been kind of more like 300 or 315 to
complete,
190, 185.
complete air raid.
And so, yeah, it will be. Anyway, moving on. It'll be interesting to see how things go. This offense the sky's the limit for them, man. And Will Howard just needs to conduct the train, and we'll see what the sky's the limit. We have high expectations for this season, making the run in the playoffs, win the Big Ten title, and Will Howard is now officially the man who is most likely going to take us there.
Yeah,
Pray for an injury-free
definitely.
season, and then he'll ball out. Number 18. I don't remember number 18 besides Tate Martell ever being at quarterback for Ohio State in my lifetime. Can you remember anybody at 18 being QB starting
No,
quarterback? Yeah,
no.
I always think of
We,
Peyton
I
Manning
mean,
when I think of number
the
18.
closest one was Craig Krenzel at 16.
He was 16. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh, I can't wait to watch this offense explode, especially versus Akron. It's gonna be like 70-3, and we'll be watching some other game by the end of that one. But
Yeah, definitely. I mean, dude, opening week in college football is right around the corner, man. I
this,
cannot wait. But there's a game on. There is a game on
yeah, week 0, right?
the 24th.
Yeah, Florida State, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to watch that.
Yeah,
Sarah and I were going to the Steelers Lions preseason game
nice,
for her birthday. So yeah,
nice.
but all right.
That'd be
going
sick.
back on topic, since
Yes, sir.
we're on Ohio State, what the offense should look like,
Yes,
we have
sir.
differing opinions, but there's one thing that Peter and I both agree on, and it's our perception of Justin Fry.
Mm,
The
Gosh,
complete the complete atrocities he is committing as Ohio State's offensive line
prime
coach.
man.
I mean, I don't, other than, Chip Kelly being in Ryan Day's ear saying this, he's my boy, take him under your wing, but he hasn't shown anything. He didn't do anything at UCLA. He couldn't
No.
definitely couldn't recruit. Um in terms of
Yeah.
developing, I don't think one offensive lineman from UCLA when he's there got drafted.
No. I'm. I think you're right.
Justin Fry can't take any credit for Paris John. Is it Paris John?
Yeah, Paris Johnson and Dewan
Yeah,
Jones.
yeah. You can't take credit for that because you know what? Coach Stud recruited those players. Now,
Yeah, they're.
Coach Stud, he could recruit, but the word was his development wasn't really
Yep.
there. But due to the fact he was able to recruit highly rated players, I think that makes up for it. But it's to remain seen that Fry can develop, because right now, I'm sorry, he can't recruit. Go look
Yeah.
at that 2025 class. There is one offensive lineman. Other than that, he's been striking. I mean,
Yeah.
heck, if you if
Carter
you
Lowe.
lo- if you lo- he lost Josh Petty
Yep.
to Georgia Tech. Like
Freaking Yellow Jackets, dude.
we're beating them and NIL by a mile. So that has to really tell you something, that it's not Ohio State's NIL, definitely not the facilities, because
Sure.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, recruits have nothing but good things to say during their official visits. So I'm
Right.
sorry, but it's Justin Fry.
Let
It
me
is.
ask you this real quick. Even if we get David Sanders, is Justin Fry off the hot seat? Because in my opinion, no.
We're not getting David Sanders, Peter.
I agree, but I'm
We're
just
just
saying, what if he
ah.
does? What if he gets them? I don't think he will either, but
It
to
would
me,
change.
he'd still be on the hot seat.
It would change my perception. Like, okay, maybe this
What's up,
IO,
IO?
maybe this guy can recruit. But for the past 2 seasons, the offensive line has been subpar. It really
Oh yeah,
has.
there's no question about it.
Underdeveloped, underprepared. Uh, just like a big weak point.
Sure.
For any Ohio State fans who are tuning in, it's not all sunshine and daisies in Columbus. Don't
No.
be fooled by the media. That's
No,
definitely,
no.
don't get me wrong. This Ohio State team is going to be great, but not all positions are going to be great, and it is going to
Yeah.
show eventually.
I mean, we're kind of saying right now, a little bit of that. Like, we expect good things, but we also want to point out the weaknesses. And right now, Justin Fry is a weakness. I don't think David Sanders is coming either. Um, but even if he was to get him, that's still one elite recruit over two recruiting cycles. That's still not getting it done.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Carter Lowe is one of those, the best in Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
stay and play at Ohio State. He's an Ohio person through and through. That's great.
Yes, sir.
He's going to understand the rivalry. He's going to show up for the state of Ohio. But if
He
you
can work
look at
hard.
the
Yeah.
the out of state recruits, especially the top ones, Justin Fry swings and misses, and I am baffled and astounded that Ryan Day has not fired him yet. I don't understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a frustrating thing. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to fire him at this point in the season, but um, he is on
He
that
should
short
have
leash.
he should have fired him after that Missouri game, when it was apparent that, okay, the ship is not going to get better. Let's get someone else to steer it before it just completely. I mean, heck, that ship already, like, it completely sank. Justin Fry is, right now driving a sinking ship. driving a sinking ship, trying to keep it afloat. But
Well,
it's not going to happen. The amount of so the amount of offensive line who are leaving and the amount that are coming in, you're gonna really notice it in the next 1 to 2 years.
what do you mean exactly?
So there's only one offensive line commit
Oh, okay, okay. I see
for
what
the
you're
class
saying.
of 2025.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to
Well,
they
I think it's
really they really need to make that a focus, and they haven't. I don't know what their game plan is. I don't know like why they haven't picked up Ryan Day hasn't picked up on like, hey, like we really need to get back to our winning ways in the trenches.
yeah. I think it's pretty telling, man. That it's pretty obvious that we're going to be going to the portal next season for at least two offensive linemen. And in my humble opinion, that's not an effective strategy on the offensive line for skill position players, whether it be offense or defense.
Wait,
That's a great position. But
wait a
offensive
minute.
linemen need to grow together in a
What
system in the offensive line.
Wait a minute, Peter. Wait a minute. What I mean, I hate to admit this. What has Michigan been doing for the last 3 to 4 years? They've been getting offensive linemen from the transfer portal. So I don't. I
Onwenu was good, but most of those guys are homegrown. The only guy that I've seen they brought in the offensive line was their center Onwenu, and he was elite. But in my opinion, plug and play in the offensive line doesn't really work. Um, you need to grow in a system, grow with your chemistry with your other offensive linemen. I don't think plug and play really works. It took multiple games for Josh Simmons to grow into a decent offensive tackle for the Buckeyes last year.
but was he good to start off? Because you know what? If you look, where did he come from? San Diego State. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
he came from the Aztecs. He was the most penalized offensive lineman in that conference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
So
even then,
was he ever good to begin with?
I mean, I think he's pretty good now. Yeah, I'd say he's pretty good now. But he wasn't elite coming in for sure. And
I'm not sold on that. Like you can if that offensive lineman is good, they're like if that offensive lineman is good and they make good choices and they got good work ethic and they're able to pick up on the system quick, why not? I mean, like I'm sorry, but as an Ohio State fan, it pains me. It just pains me to say this, but Michigan has greatly benefited from the transfer portal. Their 3 year run, they have.
oh yeah, no, they filled their positions well. They certainly have. Not yep, even at linebacker this year, their two starting linebackers are gonna be transfers from Nebraska and Maryland.
But here's the difference though. Here's the difference though. They have a Joe. What is the Joe Moore Award?
Joe Moore Award, yeah.
Yeah, winning coach. We don't even have anything close. He can't even recruit. I mean, I'm gonna
It's
you know what?
bad.
These
Things are
first
bad.
3 games will kinda set the tone, but during their first big challenge, it will really
Mhm.
show me if Justin Fry has improved anything or
Yeah.
he's just gonna plateau off and he's gonna have to go off into the sunset and find another team to play with. But so
I lean toward that's probably what's gonna happen, but we'll see how the offensive line performs this year. Right guard is still definitely an issue, and it continues to be an issue that is not being talked about in the kindest ways in press conferences from Ryan Day. So that is a little bit troubling because let's be honest, man, the Big Ten is a conference that's won in the trenches. You know, we've always had elite skill players at Ohio State. We always have, and we always will. We've always had elite lines, both defensively and offensively, until the Ryan Day era. You know, we've only had one 1,000 yard rusher under Ryan Day, and he was a 2,000 yard rusher in J.K. Dobbins. And of course, the 2020 season, shortened season, I don't count that statistics wise. You throw him out the gate, but our last three full seasons, we haven't had a 1,000 yard rusher at Ohio State. That's
and
unheard of.
And here's the thing, Peter. The things that we've been talking about Justin Fry for a while,
Oh yeah, I do.
other media outlets are starting to report on that just now. And here's why. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We all love to pay attention to shiny things,
Oh, we
those
sure
elite
do.
cornerbacks, those elite wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks,
Yep.
but we're missing out on the trenches. And
Same.
now possibly that, I mean, yeah, we're getting those elite cornerbacks in this 2025 class, but not those same wide receivers. So, if you're an Ohio State fan, you're tuning in, go look at that 2025 class, go look at the 2024 class,
Not
the
good
23 class, and then go look
in the
at his
trenches.
UCLA days, his days at UCLA. Not much of a
Yeah.
difference at all.
Yikes. And that's a big jump from a program like UCLA to Ohio State. You would expect improvement, but we haven't seen it. What do you think about that
So,
question down there?
yeah. So Matthew, it depends. So there's an expanded college football playoff. It's a 12-team playoff. The implications of the Michigan game won't be as high because the last 3 years have been win or go home, except 2022 where we have Kyle Whittingham to thank for
Sure
absolutely
do.
annihilating USC in the Pac-12 championship. But let's say that they lose to Michigan, they win the Big Ten championship, and they win the national championship. I think all will be forgiven because again, it's a 12-team playoff. And let me make this clear. I hate losing to Michigan as much as the next Ohio State fan, but a national championship would count that as for him to be forgiven. So what are your thoughts, Peter?
Man, that's really interesting, man. And based on where we live, there never will be a more important game to me than the Michigan game, even with the expanded playoffs, even when it goes to 16 games. But I don't think Ohio State loses more than one game this year. Day has never lost more than two regular season games in a regular season in his 5 years here, and he only did that one time. The other years were either undefeated or 11-1 regular seasons. And so whether we drop it to Oregon or Michigan, preferably, I'd rather drop it to Oregon. But it would suck because hey, we're the new kid on the block and we just beat the piss out of you 2 times in a row now, and they'd have the laughing stock. But the Michigan game is more important to me. Um, Now I
Yeah.
think he has to make a deep run in the playoffs no matter what to survive because that new AD is not his friend. He didn't hire Ryan Day, and he didn't have the protection he did under Gene Smith. Now that's kind of crazy to talk. One side, he has the best winning percentage of any active head coach in college football right now. That's a little bit crazy if you talk about a hot seat, but it's the reality when you lose three straight to Michigan.
And here's another thing. Until someone comes forward and says, coach gives a coach's name who's going to be available and better than Ryan Day, I honestly like. That's another thing I like.
No,
I
yeah,
don't want them to fire him,
no,
have there be a no-name coach out there or not a really proven coach, a name that's not really big in the market, and then Ohio State completely implodes. So here's two
yeah,
scenarios. Here's
sure,
two scenarios that could that Ryan Day must do in order to keep his job. All right. First scenario is he beats Michigan, he wins the Big Ten championship, he makes a run in the playoff, but loses the national championship. And
okay,
here's the second one: he he could lose to Michigan, make the win the Big Ten championship, and then ultimately win the national championship. Those are the only two ways I see him keeping his job.
okay, interesting.
But again, if you can't bring a name forward of a coach who's better than Ryan Day, then that's another possibility as he could keep his job. So yeah,
I
three scenarios.
I think no self-respecting coach would jump into a job who just fired a guy that won 90% of his games. You're going to say, what's the standard here? Perfection? And nothing else is acceptable? Like, I think it would be a massive downgrade. If we were to fire Day, no matter who we got, I think it'd be a massive downgrade.
And you know, so Ryan Day can win. He's won the games that he's supposed to win by a
Mm-hmm.
long shot. He hasn't lost to anybody else in the Big Ten
Yeah,
other than Michigan.
in 5
That's it.
seasons.
And you know what? Urban Meyer lost to other teams. And I know he never beat Michigan, but he lost to Penn State. He lost to Iowa. Should never happen. He lost to Purdue. I was sick by the end of that game, but always forgiven because he beat Michigan. That's how much
Beat
the game
Michigan.
matters
So much matters.
to the state of Ohio. I
Yep.
get that, but it could also be their downfall in a way.
You're not wrong. To be so singularly and solely focused on one game, yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's it's a catch 22 a little bit, man. It's fascinating. You know, it is a bit of our part of our core identity though, the absolute fixation on that team up north. Um, you know, our first win over them was in 1919, and ever since we won our first title under Paul Brown in 42, and then Woody Hayes made everything about the rivalry. It's been and that it's been all about Michigan. And that's the fascinating thing because for Michigan, it's the same way. They're just not quite as rabid about it as we are. They're not they're not quite as fanatic as we are as Buckeye fans.
Oh,
They
come on,
definitely
Blazer. By 50? By 50. You know what? I have Oregon as the number one team to most likely upset Ohio State
me
due to the
too.
fact that they look really they're really talented. You look at the roster. Dan Lanning's a really good coach, and the fact it's in Eugene. But I don't. I think it's going to be really close. It could come down to whoever has the ball last. You never know.
That would favor Ohio State, but yeah, I have that as a potential, the most likely loss for the Buckeyes this season as well. But you must be seeing something I don't see because I don't see that comment on my screen.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see anything from Blazer, but interesting. But yeah, anyway, it's it's gonna be fascinating to make the first trip to Austin. We've been to Eugene before, but we've never played in Austin Stadium before, so that's a
Yeah.
first for the Buckeyes. We're highly anticipating October 12th. One of these years, I'll get out to Eugene and attend a game out there, but I've heard tickets are extremely hard to get because it's a very small, small for Big Ten stadiums. That is, it's not a small stadium of 55,000, but that's really small for Big Ten stadiums. So it's
Yeah.
hard to get a ticket in Eugene. But yeah, man. Bottom line, things got to improve on the offensive line. Period. And I think Day gets that. I think that's why he freaking said you got 1 year to prove your ass or prove yourself or get out of here because he
Yeah.
extended everybody else or fired everybody else. Now, one last point on this real quick. It is interesting that he brought in Fry or I'm sorry. It is interesting. What was I going to say? Frick. Bill O'Brien was going to be our offensive coordinator, right? And then he backed out. And then we got Chip Kelly. So it's interesting that he kept Fry
There's a
when
conflict of interest, Peter.
when
That's
Bill
what.
O'Brien was his first choice over Kelly for offensive coordinator. Because if Kelly was the first choice, it makes sense to keep Fry after his poor performance last year and the year prior. But now, since he went after O'Brien first, why didn't he just cut ties with Fry? Why do you think he gave him an extra year? Like, what's the theory on that? And then we'll drop it and move on to the next topic.
Hmm. My theory is I get that Chip Kelly is Ryan Day's mentor, but at the end of the day, Ryan Day's the CEO of this
Yeah,
team. I mean, he's handing the offense over to Chip Kelly.
sure.
We'll see if that we'll see how much that sticks.
See if that holds. Yeah.
Because if what I remember is Urban Meyer had a really hard time handing over the offensive play calling.
Oh, no
really hard
kidding.
time, um, especially when Tom Herman left.
Good
Um,
God.
so my thing is, again, Chip Kelly was the mentor, but now Ryan Day as a CEO, he's gonna do whatever he need. I mean, he's made all the right offseason moves.
He has.
Made moves he really needs to improve the roster, improve the state of the program. Not that it was failing, but he wants to
Sure.
be elite. So
Yeah.
I think the only missing piece is
Yeah.
he hasn't fired Justin Fry yet. I mean, it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. It could cost them this season. It really could.
Really.
You know
I
what?
agree.
You can have the two running backs who are in the top 10 in the nation, but it's not gonna matter if you can't throw those blocks and open up those holes.
Well, that has been the frustrating thing, man. Like in terms of total yardage, when you look at Ohio State's rushing yardage, our our offensive rushing yardage numbers are not that far off from what they used to be under Meyer, but we struggle mightily in those short yard situations. And it's infuriating because it costs us games, bro.
Look, the thing that's more infuriating is the media has finally started to talk about this. Like, I think I saw this is like remember that I think the post that Matt sent us? It was about it was about Justin Fry, his recruiting, not being able to recruit outside of the state of Ohio. I mean,
Yep.
he got the Armstrong twins and he got Carter Lowe. Where they're from? They're from Ohio, but outside of that, he's been swinging and missing. And again,
Biggs.
they addressed the recruiting class, but they're now just starting to talk about that when it's been quite evident for the last 2 to 3 years. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. Yep. It's all been exemplified because of those losses to Michigan and how we were pounded on both sides of the ball in the trenches. And so it's gonna be fascinating to see the Buckeyes respond. And if they can get those short yard situations, can we get the blocks to actually get those freaking short yards that we need? Because Urban Meyer, he always said it. If you can't get 4th and 1, you're not a championship team. And guess what? Ohio State's not been a championship team the last 3 seasons.
Ryan Day needs to learn how to at least attempt a 4th and 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Michigan converted an all god awful amounts of 4th and shorts throughout the season last year, and it pissed
And
me off every
against
single
Ohio
time.
State.
No specific, yeah, definitely against Ohio State as well, but also consistently throughout the season. Ohio State would never dare, and that's frustrating. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, moving on. Hopefully the O line responds and gets the wake up call and does what they need to do. But today, ESPN released their top 100 players in college football list. It's an annual list that's always fun to look over because there's names I've never heard of. Bro, I'm embarrassed to admit this. I did not know who the number one player on the list was. James Pierce, defensive end from Tennessee. I have not heard of the dude.
No, I haven't
I'm
really
like,
either. But here are the Ohio State players who are on there.
yes, sir. 8 of
Denzel
them.
Burke, Tyleek Williams, Devon. Not wait, I think it's Hamilton.
Tyleek Hamilton. Yep.
Yeah, Ty. I thought it was Tyleek Williams.
Tyleek. Oh yeah, you're right. My bad.
Yeah. So Burke, Hamilton, Williams, Sawyer, Downs,
hmm
um, Emeka Ibuka,
Yeah, I got the list here.
Juckins,
And Travion
Henderson.
and Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, I said Sawyer. So there's actually eight. Now
Yep, there's 8 of them.
I was surprised and not surprised that JT Tumaloa is not
Right,
on there. I'm not.
right.
When I thought about it, I'm like, this dude has not shown up
Nope.
for the moment since the Penn State game back in 2022, where
A
he
long
had
time
two
ago, bro.
interceptions, one taken back to the house. He had
Force
what
fumble.
2 or 3 fumble recoveries,
Yeah,
but
he was a
I mean,
monster.
the dude played out of his mind, and he hasn't done it since. So
Yep.
he just didn't make the list. What I was surprised at is Kenneth Grant is really low. I mean, what is he like? He's like 80, he's like 75. I thought he'd be a lot higher.
Yeah, I think because of his weight, he doesn't stay on the field for all the downs that Mason Graham does. And that'll be an interesting thing to look at this season because he's not an every down defensive tackle because he's just too big. And so I think that's probably why he got put down lower. And
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see the depth because Chris Jenkins, he was the guy that came on the field for the Wolverines last year and really filled that role when Grant couldn't huff it anymore. He needed a break. He needed a breath, a breather. And
Why
so will he be able to stay on the field? Probably not at 345 pounds.
why isn't Jordan Hancock on there? He had a phenomenal season.
He was good. I wouldn't rank him. I probably wouldn't put him in the top 100. I mean, if we're talking top 20 DBs in the nation, yeah, I'd put him in that list. But top 100 overall players, I can see why they left him off. I
Yeah.
mean, Igmanos and Burke were 1 and 2, and Hancock was 3 last year, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Another, yeah, it's interesting. What are your expectations for Jack Sawyer entering this year, man? He had 3 sacks in the Cotton Bowl. Was that an anomaly performance for him too, or is that a harbinger of things to come this season for him?
So what I'm hearing is bigger, faster, stronger. Seems like well, I wouldn't say bigger. He's actually lost 15 pounds. He
He has
went
shedded
from
some weight,
he's down to like what 250, 255.
somewhere in that
Uh,
range. Yeah,
yeah. So definitely going to be faster off the edge. I mean, I hope JTT has lost weight as well because there's no reason he needs to
sure.
be 280, 285 trying to fly off that edge position.
Yes, sir.
But I don't I don't think it's an anomaly. So he had playing the jack position in
Yeah.
2022, and this really pains me to say this, seeing that what happened with Chase Young and the amount of sacks he just got in this one season.
Yeah, 16
Jack
and a half.
Sawyer got the most sacks on the
Mm.
team with 5.5,
Yeah, 5.5, homie.
5.5. We've come a long way since Chase Young and not in a good way at all. So, I mean, and now that he finally got he got his chance to, put his knuckles in the dirt and come out of the edge position. He really showed up against Missouri. I think he got the most pressure. He he has the highest percentage in terms of QB pressures in all of college football.
Jeez.
So, he just hasn't converted it into sacks. I
Sure.
think because he lost weight, he's gonna be a lot faster. He's
A
gonna
little more
be a lot
nimble.
quicker off the ball, being able to get the first step on those offensive linemen. So
I,
I think he's gonna turn a lot of those pressures this year into sacks.
I like that projection for him. I'm pretty high in him too. I mean, let's be honest. Last time we saw him, he absolutely balled out. So why wouldn't he continue to do that? And so, yeah, man, Jack, you're 5 star, former 5 star. Time to put it all together this season. JTT, trying to prove all of Ohio State and Buckeye Nation wrong and have a breakout season and get drafted in the first round. You have all the potential. What we need to see it, bro. 2022 was a long time ago. It's time for you to ball out again. Um, Looking at the other guys that were on the list, just looking around the conference a little bit, I was surprised to see 3 Iowa Hawkeyes. Of course, they're all defensive players, and none of the names I recognize actually. Cooper DeJean obviously was the star of the defense last year, and he's gone. Oregon had a corner, Jabbar Muhammad, who is going to fight for all Big Ten team selection, and then of course their receiver Tez Johnson, and of course Mr. Dylan Gabriel, who's we better find a way to contain, man, because he's going to be lethal with his arm and leg. Bo freaking Nix came in last year and led the nation in passing yardage in the Oregon Duck offense. Bo Nix, he was trash at Auburn, and I can't. I'm a little petrified.
I don't know if he was trash at
That's a
Auburn.
little harsh. That is a little harsh, but he was
Didn't
really
he have
average.
the he was one of the big reasons why they beat Alabama the year that the year that Joe Burrow won it all with LSU.
Back in 2019. Yeah. He was better his freshman year. That was his best year ever at Auburn. He definitely regressed in his time at Auburn. And then he exploded back on the scene in an Oregon offense. And I'm it's Gabriel's gonna put up video game numbers for certain. Like there's no question about it. If he stays healthy, it, in my opinion, there's no question there's going to be quarterback one in the all Big Ten teams at the end of the season. But I know we disagree. We have different opinions on that one. So,
I think the
but
Oregon offense played better to his skill set.
oh, without question, man, without question. And Gabriel has that skill set and even more amplified. So it's going to be fascinating. He won't be someone that'll be contained, that will be controlled. He's just someone you hope to contain in the Oregon offense because they're going to sling it around. They have two potential all Big Ten wideouts. I'm lacking on the other guy's name at wide receiver, but he had just under 1,000 yards, maybe even just over 1,000 yards, along with Tez Johnson last year. And we got the secondary to hold them in check potentially through the air, but it's his legs I'm more worried about than anything because he absolutely shredded that Texas defense
That
in the Cotton Bowl.
that jack position is gonna really need to come in handy during that game.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be yeah. That is a key talking point because he said I read a quote from Knowles this year just a week ago. He said we kind of went away from the jack last year, but we're bringing it back this year. And I'm wondering who's going to be playing in that position. Is that going to be the Sonny Styles or a
It looks like it's
combination of
gonna be
Styles and
CJ
Sawyer,
Hicks.
C.J. Hicks? Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Good point. Good point. Yeah, so it'll be interesting, man. Like we're gonna have to be disguised and really elite defensively, which I don't think we're gonna have any problems being. I mean, we were number two defense last year in yards, so it'll be interesting to watch. And then for Michigan led the way with was second with 5 players, and then USC, I want to get your thoughts on USC and the Trojans, offensively, that is. Because let's be honest, none of their defenders would ever touch a top 100 players in college football list. Miller Moss balled out in the bowl game last year in his only start in college so far. And
And
he's got
Zachariah Branch
Zachariah
was in
Branch.
there.
He's got Zachariah Branch, the actual speed demon who burst onto the scene as a true freshman last year. What do you think the Trojans are going to be able to accomplish offensively in their first year in the conference, man, with Moss and Branch and others?
Man, I think their fans need to expect the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah, bro.
I'm
I'm kind
sorry,
of with
bro.
you on that one. I'm kind of with you on that one.
I mean,
I
a
think
good amount of that talent transferred.
they really
Malachi
did.
Nelson,
Yeah, that
uh,
was a big
the
loss.
Damani Jackson,
Big, big loss.
their best cornerback. It's I was kind of taunting all these Oklahoma fans when they were just ripping this guy for leaving Oklahoma when, they had their first year coach,
Sure.
Brent Venables, and they weren't doing so well. And here's Lincoln Riley about to make the college football playoff. I'm like, oh, you guys are just mad because you're down this year and Lincoln Riley's continuing his success, but it kind of looks like he's not really.
He never learned his lesson defensively.
Yeah.
And
I think that I think he was in a better position at Oklahoma to be successful than he was at USC because at USC he's pretty much rebuilding everything. Bob Stoops left him a really good program.
oh, without question, man. Without question. Don't get me wrong, he's a quarterback whisperer. I mean, he's won bunch of Heisman's for his quarterback. So I expect Miller Moss to put up some pretty good numbers. But offensively, I expect him to perform admirably in the conference. Defensively, that's a whole another problem, brother. I think they're gonna. I'm not ready to put a record projection out for them, but man, I mean, I couldn't see them getting more than 9 wins if I was just thinking about it, this season because they're in their first year under a new defensive coordinator, and Miller Moss might be the dude. He might be the dude, and to continue the lineage that Riley has had at quarterback, and I mean he's definitely gonna put up at least decent numbers.
Do you see this comment?
Dude,
I've
I haven't seen
always
a new comment in like 10, like 20 minutes. I don't know
It
what's going on.
says it's by Corey Willis. I have always found it fascinating how certain people are capable of being entertained by sports. Look, dude, college football is the greatest sport all around. Like,
It's highly entertaining. It's
there's
not lacking for
nothing
entertainment.
like it. I mean, March Madness comes second, but college football, man, you just
That's an interesting comment, dude. I've
yeah,
even even in blowouts, I'm entertained because I'm watching backups
yeah,
get some playing time, bro. College football has never disappointed me for entertainment value. That's for sure. But to each his own, I guess. I mean, what are you,
yeah,
you know, to each his own. But
yeah.
yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun season, man. We got some new members in the conference, some styles that are gonna be mixing. The Trojans could secure this, or the Bruins could secure their spot at the bottom of the conference, below Purdue and Indiana and Rutgers and all these other schools that are underperforming. Um,
Oh, he says he thinks it's cool. I guess I read the comment wrong.
oh,
But
okay, I see.
yeah, yeah.
Huh.
I mean, everybody has their own
Oh, there we go.
interests. You know, he says he
Pro
follows
bodybuilding.
pro
Interesting.
body. Yeah,
I've watched some documentaries on before. Arnold Schwarzenegger's pumping iron. That was actually pretty fascinating. I
you
never would have watched it on my own. But as a part of a senior high school slough off class.
hey, you remember that? So back when I was like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah,
Did you ever hear that story about that little Hercules guy where they were from Germany and this kid had like freaking gigantic biceps and a
just
six pack at
just
the age
preaching.
of
I think.
6 years old and he could bench press like 220. Actually no, he could bench press like 200. Uh
I think I vaguely remember that, but I honestly don't remember much about it. No, man, I don't.
yeah. But
That's
maybe
interesting.
Corey knows what I'm talking about. I don't know. But anyways, but
There we
anyways.
go.
All right, moving on to our next topic. Good old Jimmy Harbaugh. Good old Jimmy Harbaugh. So, after the NCAA dropped, well, I wouldn't say drop the hammer. It's not much of a hammer when Harbaugh has moved on to the NFL, so there's really no, consequences for what has happened. But
Right.
after they dropped their 4-year show clause, basically saying he is out of college football if he decides to return. He's suspended for an entire season if he decides to return. Can't be with the team in any capacity. They invite him they invite him to they invite him to be the honorary captain of their first game on August 31st.
This
So,
program got no daggone shame,
Michigan
bro.
fans are celebrating like, "Oh, like take that NCAA,
Big middle finger.
we're we're putting it to the man." And then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, Jim Harbaugh's not coming to Michigan anymore. His parents are filling in." And I found it interesting because I found so there's this quote by Paul Feinbaum saying that Michigan wanted to celebrate this guy for what he did. All I had to do is make a couple phone calls, and look what happened now.
Yeah, I saw that quote too. I don't buy that Paul Feinbaum was the one that made anything happen with
No,
regards to that. But
I think that so the regular season for the NFL starts the weekend after.
yeah, yeah.
Starts starts the weekend after the opening weekend of college football.
Ain't
So
no
you're
practices on the
telling me
weekends,
you know, you can't take a Saturday away from your team when it's just going to be a practice
especially
and
when you
to be able to be the honorary captain.
Right.
Go on, Peter.
Especially when you've got if your argument is I need to, prep for the following week's game and the upcoming season. Bro, you got 5 hours each way on a plane to prep. The same you would be doing in an office. I don't buy that excuse at all. The Michigan completely backed out and carted away once the outside noise got too much. The pushback was too strong against Michigan, and I think the board of trustees folded to outside pressure and outside noise. And hey, if you want to cover it up and say it's because I want to be with my team, hey man, say what you want. You also said you never lie, never cheat, or never steal. So whatever, bro. I'm just glad your character is finally getting revealed for who you actually are, Jim. I mean, you're a joke of a man, and I think you're a great football coach. I think you're well respected in the coaching world, but I think you're a big hypocrite, and I think it's right that you don't get honored for your stolen valor and stolen championship. So that's my final thoughts on that one.
At the end of the day, there are no consequences for Jim Harbaugh. He has no plans on
Yeah.
returning to college football.
Oh, none
He
at
gets to
all.
make his $80 million, have his nice beach house all the
Yep.
way out in California.
He's got his good
He
looking
get
wife.
he I'm guarantee you he's got some ownership in the team. So he'll probably end up being, he's probably making a lot more money than $80 million.
He gets to
Probably
left.
he more than likely has a stake in that team.
Yep.
Um, and he doesn't he left Michigan to reap the consequences of what
Yep.
happened under his watch. So at the end
Yep.
of the day, I think Jim Harbaugh only cares about Jim Harbaugh.
Yep.
Yes, you know what? I will say that he maybe eat my words in terms of, being able to I said for the longest time he's not going to win a national championship with a run dominant offense in today's college football world. It's a pass heavy league,
Yep.
and they proved me wrong. I ate my words. They
Me
were a
too.
run dominant offense. They won the national championship. So hats off to him. He's going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. Top five. He'll more than likely win a Super Bowl, but that doesn't measure morality. I loved Urban Meyer as a Ohio State coach, but he had some questionable character issues.
For sure. There's no question about it, man. It's clear he puts himself first in his life and he doesn't care about repercussions. He's got $80 million, so he can go laugh off into the sunset in Los Angeles and retire a happy rich man and full of anything that might come or might not come down on his beloved Michigan program in quotation. So we'll see how that turns out, man. In all honesty, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot on Sharon Moore and the Wolverine program in general. I think the biggest thing you'll do is get a big fine. I don't think we're going to see any scholarship reductions. I think we'll see a one-game suspension whenever that comes down. Probably won't even be in this season. So you know, ultimately Michigan's going to get away with it. Let's just be blunt and fortunate and honest because they wanted Jim Harbaugh to pay, and in one aspect they got him to leave, um, but on the other hand, he won the ultimate prize that you can win in college football, and that sucks for us Buckeye fans, but it's the reality of the situation. And now we move forward into 2024 with great expectations. Michigan certainly taking a step back, at least in terms of on-field production and returning talent. We'll see if Cerrone can keep that ship headed in the right direction. My floor for the Wolverines personally is 8-4 this season. My ceiling for them is 10-2. Those are just my personal opinions. They have a very tough schedule, much tougher than the Buckeyes face this season, and they don't have anywhere near the talent they did last
I
season,
have their
except
ceiling being
defensively.
I have their ceiling being 9-3.
Whoa! The
Yep.
ceiling being 9-3, homie.
Yeah.
I love it. That would be
They're
glorious.
so they're
What's their floor
overlooking
then?
they're overlooking Oregon. They really are. They're gonna overlook that. They're overlooking Oregon. I know they're definitely not overlooking Ohio State, though they are more cocky about it now. Kind of feel this arrogant vibe when it comes to Texas,
Yeah. They're
but
being dismissive about both Texas and Ohio State now.
yep, I could see them losing those 3 games,
Okay, so what's their
but
floor then?
I could
There's-
also see them winning 2 out of those 3 games. So I'm like 50-50 on your ceiling and my ceiling. So
Mm, mm.
their floor, they could lose 4 to 5 games. They could.
That would really take the sales out of the national championship. I would love that, man.
Yeah, I don't
If
know.
they drop five
Their
regular
defense is
season games,
elite.
homie.
Their defense is elite though.
Oh, without
There's
question.
no doubt about it.
I think I think they have the defense that will keep them in most, if not every game they play this season. But man, it all really hinges on Alex Orji and what he's capable or not capable of at the quarterback position. This isn't a guy that Sharon Moore brought in or recruited. This is a Harbaugh guy, a way under the radar guy. Completed 48% of his passes in high school, and they expect him to lead the offense this year. We'll see, man. We'll see if the offensive line continues to roll. I think, more so than not, the offensive line is what you can rely on. But your receivers, Omorion Walker, Samaj Morgan, and Tyler Morris. Yes, Morgan and Morris are speedsters, but that's basically the only tool in their tool belt. And it'll be interesting to see if they can move the ball effectively on offense this season. I'm I'm highly anticipating the Fresno State game because I think that's going to expose a lot of things, and of course the Texas game really going to expose what the offense is capable
That's
of this
isn't
season.
that week 2?
Week 2 in Ann Arbor,
And who's their first game against? It's against
Fresno State,
yep, Fresno State. All right.
no slouch, 9-win team last year and returned 19 starters. We'll see how they do against the Bulldogs. They're going to
Yeah.
win. They're definitely going to win. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but
they'll win.
I am still adamantly, and I will say this on the Team Rivalry show: Fresno State will be in the game in the third quarter, and so that's I'm sticking to it, man. I did a little digging on Fresno State and the Bulldogs. They ain't no slouch. They ain't Akron, that's for dang sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna drop a 70 spot easy on them and get into next week. Honestly, this is a little arrogant to say, but as bad as Akron has been, 5 wins in 5 seasons total. If we're not spending some time versus in practice to prepare for Oregon and for Michigan leading up to this first game of the season. And I think we're wasting some time because Akron is that pathetic. So I would highly advise them to spend some time, just like Tressel did every single practice. There was a period of practice spent on Michigan every single week in the fall and during the season. And Meyer continued that tradition, and we'll see what day if he can get back on track versus the Wolverines. So,
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah, man, that's all I got for tonight. You got anything to add
Yep.
on to it, or we're
No,
gonna wrap it up?
that's it. Really looking forward to week 1 and
What are you, six,
what, 2
16
weeks?
days?
Yeah,
Yeah.
16 days. Really looking forward to it. It's been a long time. It's been a long off season.
Golly.
We're gonna have a lot to report on now. A lot.
Yeah, stay
So
tuned. Stay.
yeah, tune in to our shows every Thursday, 8:30 p.m. We're also thinking about adding what is it a Sunday?
Sunday evening college
I,
football
we
recap.
can't do no, no, no. We cannot do a Sunday evening. There's Sunday night football. We
Sunday
can't
night
do that.
football. Yeah,
Yep, can't do that.
Sunday sometime for sure though. Uh, we'll talk more about that. We'll see what we come up with to recap the Buckeyes games and recap the weekend that was in college football. But that's gonna do it for tonight for Buckeyes Battle Cry. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next Thursday, 8:30, and you guys have a good night. We'll see you now.
All right, later.
Later.